First up, if you had to sum up day one's play in Hyderabad, you would say it was pretty much along expected lines?
Absolutely, Akash. We expected India to dominate, and that's exactly what has happened. Pitch is just too flat, and winning the toss meant that hosts were always going to be ahead, even though they lost a wicket in the first over itself. After that, it was Pujara and Vijay, and then Vijay and Virat Kohli, and now it's Kohli and Rahane. And the thing that I liked the most was the way India continued to push the pedal hard and press the accelerator with regards to their scoring rate, and now they are in a position that they'll just call the shots from here onwards.
Right, KL Rahul really the only one who missed out on a big score so far. Ajinkya Rahane also looks good for at least a 50, if not 100. As Aakash mentioned there, the pitch there looking very flat, and of course India, after winning the toss, pretty much on top. Talking about Virat Kohli, Aakash, yet another century then for the Indian captain. But as far as this particular ton of his is concerned, it almost looked effortless, didn't it? It was almost as if he wasn't putting in too much effort, and yet the runs were flowing off his bat.
Akash, you and I are perhaps putting more effort to put this show together, and the entire production unit. Test centuries are supposed to be difficult because they don't come that easily. Not many people actually end up scoring test centuries, but this century, Virat Kohli just made it ridiculously easy. He started with a 4 and was striking at about 77 runs per 100 balls and never looked at any sort of discomfort, flawless, chanceless. That's why I call him the putt master.
Right, it's a good thing Virat is a cricketer, Aakash, and not a news person like us. All right, now staying with Virat and his century, somehow you do get that feeling, don't you, Aakash, whenever Virat Kohli walks out to bat, no matter what the scoreboard says, whatever the score might be, that there is a certain sense of security that he brings along with him. There was a time, of course, when his celebrations were over the top. That has disappeared now. You don't see those, over the top celebrations even after he scores a century. But he brings along with him a certain sense of not just confidence and calm, but also security, that if Virat is there, then you know that, things are in good hands as far as Team India is concerned.
It reminds me of that era when we used to talk Sachin Hannah. Till Sachin is there, everything looked hunky-dory. And that's what is happening with Virat Kohli now. He's just raising the bar. And, the one thing that separates him from the rest is the lack of ego. Whenever he walks out to bat, he knows that he is in command. He knows that he can play lots of all the shots in the book, can go aerial whenever he wants to, but he seldom does that. Just the understanding of the situation, the circumstances, and then setting his eye for a big target. This century of his is reminding me of the double century that he scored against New Zealand in Indore. A century in about 130 odd balls, only 10 boundaries, not a single shot in the air. So we must know what to expect tomorrow.
Right. It's interesting, Aakash, that you compared him to Sachin. Another thing that everyone is talking about is how when Sachin Tendulkar used to walk out to bat when he was playing for India, there was the chant of Sachin, Sachin in almost every stadium. And now there is that chant of Virat, Virat every time that he walks out to bat. Ironically, when a wicket falls, people cheer because they know that Virat is going to be the next one to walk out to bat for India. Now, talking about the other two stars, Aakash, on day one in Hyderabad, Murali Vijay and Cheteshwar Pujara, these two have been phenomenal as a pair throughout this entire season. Haven't they? 5 century-plus stands already in the season for them.
All good teams have one good opener, or at least one consistent opener and a good number 3. It reminds me of the good old days when Virender Sehwag and Rahul Dravid were stitching all these wonderful partnerships together. And that eased or perhaps made Sachin's job slightly or perhaps relatively easier. And that's how all great teams operate across the globe over different eras. And that's what these two are doing, complementing each other quite phenomenally. They're like ice and fire in a sense that you've got Murali Vijay who's got all the shots, and you've got one guy who's unfazed, unruffled, no matter what's happening at the other end. He's completely unfazed. That's Cheteshwar Pujara.
Right, just final 2 questions for you, Aakash. Bangladesh, they used 7 bowlers on day one in Hyderabad. India, of course, have lost only 3 wickets, but which Bangladeshi bowler really stood out for you?
There isn't enough in the pitch for the fast or the spinners rather. There's an even coverage of grass. The soil underneath is quite firm and hard. There are no cracks for spinners to exploit. So allow me to just pick 2. One, of course, the young 19-year-old kid who's just taking these baby steps in international cricket. Mehndi Hasan Miraj, I think he's bowled really well today. And Taskeen Ahmed is someone who can, or is look like someone who can take breakthroughs or take wickets. So these 2 bowlers are the ones that
Right, one final question, Aakash. Do you perhaps see India batting only once in this test match? What can Bangladesh do differently on day 2?
They can just slow down the proceedings because there is no real hope of picking 7 wickets in quick time. Both Virat and Rahane are set. This Indian batting lineup, they bat really deep, and therefore they would want to bat about 5.5 sessions maybe. So maybe 2.5 sessions tomorrow. Now Bangladesh's job is to delay that declaration and then post a huge first inning total so that a draw is ensured. Otherwise, they're looking down the barrel.
All right, so the task is cut out for Bangladesh and, of course, the entire visitors team, because they look like they don't have any answers right now for Virat Kohli and company. Aakash, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll chat with you again on day 2 after day 2's play in Hyderabad tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us.